Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dew Andrew Conspiracy. We have myself, Mr. Andrew, and my lovely co-host, Mr. Dew, and we're here to conspire with you. And on today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about what Dew and I see for the coming year. A little predictions episode. So if that's something you're excited for, tune in and see what we got going.
To take us through the rest of year zero AF.
Of course, yes. I mean, I think the reorientation to the Dew calendar is part of is part of it, but in the meantime, we'll keep the Gregorian calendar since that's the prevailing among the collective, and talk about that. But
yeah, bring that up because there's something I was going to suggest. So, but keep that in mind. But do your breath work and let's get on with the show.
Yeah. So our time to conspire is upon us. I think the box breath just felt right. Keep it simple, keep it focused, keep it calm. So if that's an even 4-second inhale, hold at the top, 4-second exhale, and then completing the square with a 4-second hold. And we'll do 4 since that's 4's been coming into my field these last couple of days. So it just feels right. 4-4-4. Right? Am I right? Okay, good.
Absolutely.
I mean, so I'll tell you about the synchronicity.
He showed me people. 4's been coming like in multiple streams of 4 come.
Yes. Well, let's settle in and we can talk a little bit more about 4. So if you got any wiggles, get them out. Any tension, kind of feeling that into the body. Sensing into the body is like a really powerful practice. So I encourage you to like I felt just a little bit of tension in my neck there when I was settling in. That's why I kind of moved it. But so yeah, it's really connecting, and then close down the eyes if you're able, and then exhale, and we'll get started. So deep inhale for 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold at the top. 2, 3, 4, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, and hold at the bottom. 2, 3, 4, and now I'm going to join you guys. All right. And out. Holding at the bottom and in. And out. Holding at the bottom. And one more. In. And out. Perfect. Yeah, that always feels good. So yeah, let's go to your poem and then we'll dive into synchronicities.
Well, aren't you going to talk about what we're doing today?
Oh, we did already. We're talking about our 2026 predictions.
Oh, okay. Well, that bearing in mind, I'm going back to Seraphim on Cusp of Spring, which is my first book, and this was actually written between 2012 and 2014 when I was even before the decade of my 60s begins. But instead of reading a specific New Year's poem, I decided to read a poem which I feel will be the atmosphere and the environment of the coming year. So it's called Ideation of Being in Love. I want to hold you, kiss you, and embrace simultaneously. I want to stun you with the insight of my intelligence. I want to have healthy liaison without self-medication. I want to be intimate with longing body and clear mind. I want to hug you on the beach of your island paradise. I want to converse with you until the death of the sun. I want to grab you with the strength of my loving arms. I want to read you all the poetry you can ever inspire. I want to adore you with every resource of happy heart. I want to fill you with an amorous desire to be my gal. I want you to be the woman to whom to dedicate my soul. I want you to seek the same things as strongly as I do. I want us to find romance many people think impossible and these times in which the apocalypse seems imminent. Gotta bring in the apocalypse at the end.
Oh, damn it. Yes, you did. You sure did. And that was all very beautiful and all very aligned. And I feel a lot of that energy as well. So thank you for sharing that poem and giving us a laugh and also an attunement to where we're going here, right? So, quick fit check.
2020. Well, I know what I want to bring up. Oh, yeah, what is that? What's
Quick.
that?
So this is a hat from Dijon Bowden, a part of Dharma Records, which I am a part of, and this is Eternal Life in Korean.
Oh, very nice.
He has an affinity with Asian culture. And, I can appreciate that too, especially traveling a lot of Southeast Asia. But I was never to Korea specifically. But anyway, that's what that is. And it ties in, eternal life. That's part of, the conspiracy too, I think, is a reconsideration on how we perceive life and death. So anyway, I thought that was fun.
Well, speaking of the conspiracy, I was going to propose something to you about the Dew calendar. And
Okay.
this would be like a way to integrate the Gregorian. I think I sent you some things about the moon calendar and everything, but I think I forwarded you that. But anyway, so what I was going to propose is, since both the Gregorian year and the Dew year have 365 days, 366 on leap years, what about making New Year's Day and New Year's Day the same day? And that way nobody would get confused trying to put the Dew calendar in time with the Gregorian calendar. And the other thing about the Gregorian calendar is, whether this is true or not, all the like monthly astrological portal, I mean, we could ask Kat about this, but it seemed like all the like big portal, like 1010, 88, Lionsgate, all that, it seems like it's all geared towards the Gregorian calendar. So basically, I was thinking, if we start the Dew calendar on New Year's Day, then everybody could follow it pretty easily.
Yeah. No, it's very accommodating of you, and I appreciate that. Um, I just feel like if we're gonna start, let's start actually fresh, and I'm open to like shifting that day. But to me, if we're gonna shift it, it should be winter solstice because that's the closest date to the current end. So that's my opinion, because that feels like a.
The other thing is, as the calendar is presented now, uh,
Oh, and those
the
portals.
beginning of the 7th month is Dale's birthday, and the beginning of the 8th month is Dewey or July 4th birthday. So basically, as I worked it out, Dale and Dewey birthdays inaugurate their own months.
Okay, and that based on starting on like September 24th or
Correct.
January 1st?
Correct.
Oh, the current start. Okay. Well, we can refine that then, but yeah, I think just fine tuning it. But I don't think any attachment to that Gregorian calendar is required. It literally makes no fucking sense. No matter
Right.
how you look at it, none of it is alignment with anything we experience in the 3D. And all those portals you talked about, I'm with Gabby. Those are all egregores. They're portals because the collective believes they are, and they
Right.
can believe one in the Dew calendar and two, and they can believe all those are just as potent. I don't. That's my opinion.
But plus, it would spoil all the holidays I have ready to go.
Exactly.
As we
So
explore the Dew calendar further.
I mean, do you see what I'm saying? Like, so let me explain just a little bit what I mean by that. So from her perspective, the one I share is we create these meaningful days, 8-8 portals, Lionsgate portal, right? Well, that's all fucking made up. It's a belief structure, but because so many people hold that same belief structure, it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. But it also keys you into like a specific date, like it has some significance when inherently it does not.
Right.
It's equally as significant as any other day. So the significance is the energy you put into it. So
Right.
today could be a powerful portal if I decide it is, you know, and so by declaring it as on a certain day, you're actually externalizing a little bit and like putting value on something outside of yourself. That's how I see it.
And the other thing I think Kat would say is you're looking at the date instead of how the planets are aligned.
Fair. Yeah, exactly. You're right. Yeah, because the dates and the times all correlate to positions of objects.
Right. Astrologers fit the date into the astrological significance rather than the other way around.
Right. And so to me, it would take a little training to, shift to the new dates, but it's very transferable to the Dew calendar. So I don't think we have to break astrology or anyone's brain, but we do need to reorient to something that's more connected to our experience here on Gaia. That is my opinion.
And just to catch everybody up, today is Game Duck. It's the third month. It's the end of the second week of the third month of the Dew calendar. It's Game Duck month. It is the third month, 15th day of year 0, and the 96th day Dale of the new era, which began with the new calendar.
Okay, but with that being said, we're going to just focus on the next 365 days or so, whatever calendar. We can all agree on a day. That seems pretty, that's aligned with sun, rotation of the earth. It all seems, that feels very aligned. So I think we could talk about 365 days and sort of that quantity of time and a lap around, the sun, and talk about what we think it might transpire during that time.
Right. Well, first off, I'd like to thank Michael Randleman Solomon for the paint job. I'm not going to show all of this, but basically, as you know, I hadn't had a paint job on my living room for about 15, 20 years. So my friend Solomon just did this, and it's beautiful. I didn't realize when I got the colors, yellow and blue, that they were the colors of Ukraine, but I think it's pretty significant or synchronistic because Ukraine's on everybody's brains. So but I'm supporting Ukraine.
I just want to point out, I think the color of your paint is the color of my eye. No, it's really close though. I like the blue and the yellow.
Color what?
My eyeballs, they're quite blue.
Oh yeah, definitely. And actually, when Saul was painting, he says the blue is like a mental unit blue. So that's what it made me think. But anyway,
I bet it did.
So basically, I support no man in Ukraine. I am fully behind the feminine power breaking out of Ukraine that the Russians and the Europeans are fighting over, and I think the United States is the only country with enough power to stand up to this sexual grab by the nations of the world in Europe and Russia, because we have our own women. We don't need Ukrainian women to be satisfied. And even though, a lot of people it seems more and more people are complaining about American women. They are our sisters in nationhood, and basically, I'm proud to be a male in American society of females.
That's fair. I mean, the way I see it, I'm a citizen of Earth at this point, and so I don't actually care about where you're from. It's irrelevant. I care who you are and what frequency you embody. And so I'm a citizen of the world, and therefore none of these things actually this is the contrast in our
Well,
relationship, I would say.
I would just like push back a little bit on that, Andrew, because if you are a citizen of the world, then you care about the female population of the world, and
Of
there,
course I do. I'm just saying I'm not.
I
I care about all of it, not just one country or the other or some combination of the
no,
two.
but what I'm saying is, Ukraine is like the focal point of the real battle that's going on between the masculine and the feminine, where the European and the Russian are fighting over the source and core of Ukrainian female divinity, and it's going to explode. And I'm just like trying to like hope that it doesn't explode into a world war because everybody's so greedy and so wants to conquer the Amazons of the Ukraine.
Sure. Yeah, that's fair. Uh, well, I believe that those situations can't play out the way people might fear. But it's not actually possible. That's my opinion. I think I think these motions that seem to be happening out there are just the last gasps. Because they just seem so absurd. They are so absurd. They're absurd on their face, and that's the point. Is like people can't ignore that. I mean, you can, but it's to your detriment at this point.
Right.
Like in embracing personal sovereignty is the theme for 2026, in my opinion. Like
Right.
radical sovereignty, and that means abandoning these ideas of like tribalness, because we just like America is not one fixed entity. We are made up of millions of people who have vastly different perspectives on life. And to
Right.
try like lump that together into one thing and then externalize our power to these monkey people that are still running, quote, running things, it's just played. It's played out.
It's played out play.
Yeah.
Played out playground.
And so we're going to replace all these structures with new structures that are designed for the human, and abandon these rules. Like Kat was talking about that when she was on, is like, that's part of my chart, is like non-attachment to these rules. I'll decide what the rules that make sense, not with like some animosity towards the old rules, but they just don't work. And so we got to
Right.
find something that does. And that's part of this mission, is a structure that actually makes a little more sense and allows for people to have their own sovereignty within it.
Well, yeah, I still believe in the universality of the wealth of Dale. I feel that it's just a matter of like getting to point out that people are living in a Dale. I mean, one thing I figured out is that even God is living in a Dale. He might be it might be the Dale on the summit, but Dale, it's still a Dale. So basically, everybody is in Dale, and I'm not saying I rule over him or anything, but that's just the locale where we are. And as I said yesterday, the first true Dale after the birth of Dew Dale on Christmas, uh, everybody was either descended or ascended to the seventh dimension. But in order for to be ascended to the seventh dimension, you have to get through the Fred Dale dimension of sixth dimension.
Okay. Yeah.
But basically, the seventh dimension is the dimension of absolute Dale equality. Nobody can conceive, very few people can conceive a society of absolute equality. And that's my mission, is to transmit that vision of absolute equality in the next year.
I love it. Yes. This is on theme. I mean, that ties into that personal sovereignty really well, right? You can't have equality without sovereignty. Like they wouldn't they can't, the two need each other on some level, right? And
It all ties into freedom. Freedom from freedom.
right, right. Well, and you know, freedom unlocks so much trapped energy, right? It's like, to me, it's about that Kat was talking about a new level of consciousness we've never experienced before. I'm talking about a new level of creativity we've never experienced before. I think that's coming into the field really strongly, and that's part of that sovereignty. Is like, I want to create my life. I don't want to be living someone else's life or conforming to some picture of what it's supposed to look like. I'm actually going to build it for me from the ground up, and in whatever way that looks. And I think that's part of what's been happening this year, is like the shedding of, like, you know, the old shit,
Yep.
the baggage that you've been like carrying with you, you know,
Yep.
and
Well,
that's created
it's
space.
appropriate since it was the year of the snake, shedding every skin that's unused and useless.
Right. And so when you shed something, you create an energetic void to some extent, and then new things come in to kind of fill that. And so that to me feels like what 2026 is about, is now that the space has been created, some things have been shed, you have more capacity to do something different, and that's going to start to perpetuate like these themes that we keep bringing to the conspiracy, right? The conspiracy is going to expand more into the collective consciousness. I don't know, to the degree it already has, because from my perspective, it 100% is.
It's
Like,
infiltrated the general consciousness. People just don't realize it.
well, I think they do, and I think it's coming in waves, is how I would think of it. But first wave is in it. Second wave, I think, is starting to tap into it, and then the third wave can't be far behind. I don't know how many waves there are, but I my field is almost exclusively tapped in. Like attracts like, right? And so, you know, to the extent that I'm still like tapping into like a frequency that isn't quite as aware,
Right.
um, even those people, there's like tingles, you know, like the spidey sense is going off, right?
Right.
And they're talking about things in a way that maybe they haven't before, and so maybe that's an inner work with me. I'm open to that. I mean, theoretically, it all is, but yet here we are, enjoying separation in a conversation, right? So,
Well, one thing that just came to my mind is that in WFG, when I was selling insurance and multi-level marketing, you have like the core person, the first person, and then they always like put the arrow down. He like gets another person who then has arrows down. But what I was thinking about with you and I and Dijon and Jade and what's going on is instead of having the arrow down, it's a horizontal or even a vertical, arrow. And therefore, you basically are taking the foundation of what we got and you're spreading it through your connections, through your field. And, that's how like the real electricity gets plugged in.
yeah. Well, so I was revisiting our episode with Kat this morning, and she talked about it as like lighting up parts of our network, right? And when we are in the presence of people that we perceive as separate from ourselves because they're in their own body as we see it, right? But they're also tapped into the frequency of that Christed consciousness, or however you want to describe it, that love frequency, then I feel lit, I feel activated in that energy. And so that's literally me lighting up my own network through relationship with people who are vibrating at a similar frequency, at a similar energy. And yeah, you're part of that network, and Jade and Dijon are a part of that network, and Jami and Ellen. I mean, there's Shani. There's so many names now
It's
that.
more like a reverse Christmas tree rather than a hierarchy. That's what I'm saying.
Correct. Correct. They're nodes in a network is I think is a perfectly appropriate way to look at it. And then these nodes get to have their own little influence on the area that they're in, and it begins, like we talked about the degrees of separation, right? Like it begins to like infiltrate until it takes over the whole world. So
Right.
we're at the precipice of like a new level of consciousness we've never experienced before.
I
Like,
think we're
I don't even think
already
we're at the precipice. I think we're in it.
that's really what I think. I think that yes, with Christmas, everybody did basically everybody was forced into a quantum leap. So we are at that new level of awareness, and people just have to catch up to the seventh dimension before they can enjoy it and find their own spaceship.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's a little lag time between like, the transmission in the field, and then like the nervous system and the body sort of like adapting to that. That's kind of where I'm at. But that lag time is compressing to some degree, and I mean we're already in it, and that like the people who are in it are already in it. Like I'm my experience in the present moment is not the same as it was 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago. It is changing and it's accelerating. And, Kat talked a lot about the speed too. And so I'm conscious of that because speed can be taxing on the body. And so that mind body connection really allows me to like, oh, okay, like maybe ground down, take a deep breath, Dale yourself, right? And orient to the speed you want to move instead of feeling hurried or rushed or anxious or whatever emotion you might feel when it's fast. Oh, and then also sometimes fast is fun, right?
Oh,
Like,
absolutely. Fast is like higher impossibility drive is my normal drive at this point. So I understand fast, and actually that was something that I was sort of like getting triggered by with Saul is he just wanted to come home and listen to like this mellow music, whereas and relax on the couch and I mean, he did do it, put in a long day and everything, so I understand that. But still, I wanted to hear Green Day, I wanted
yeah,
to like be rock, punking out, and be like, and that's really like what maybe I'm like overreacting or trying to be something that I'm not, but I'm not going to fall into the trap of being a dirty, crotchety old man, who just listens to relaxing, mellow music and lets the world go by, and that's really that's really affected me, and it was just like I've been dealing with 50 years of program frustration through Mike in the last 3 days, and I realize I'm being a little hard on him, but he needs some dewy death.
yeah. Well, and he's a reflection of you. So that's illustrating a part of you too that like you're ready to like shed as part of the year of the snake. That's how I feel about it. And you've already shifted the way you tell your story. Like so much is moving away from this idea of victimhood and into this like, and then you've been a little bit infected by the life force energy of the Drew Christ, and
Absolutely.
we come with the heat, bro, because we're here to fucking do it, and that's what it is, and that's the energy I'm receiving from you right now, and it's very exciting.
Well, I become the George Washington of the 21st century and the guerrilla general, because the only way we won the American Revolution was by being the first guerrilla warfare. Because what George Washington would do, like I say, march all night, set up positions during the day, fight, and then disappear and march all night. And we're in the very midst of the Second American Revolution. And as for 2026, it has come to my attention that ultimately I'm going to have to visit 6 St. John, Dialina Control, because I haven't been there for 20 years and they definitely need an upgrade.
Yeah, yeah, we were talking about that earlier. It's an interesting vision. I'm curious how if the next Dale will still feel the same, but it's an interesting. I mean, the process you're working through is really fascinating for me because it's part of the vision that I'm kind of holding for you to some extent, and so I support you in whatever you decide to do. But your connection to that institution is unique. I will say that. I don't quite fully comprehend it, but I don't need
Well,
to.
it's basically my reality, or I'm in my ultimate reality orientation. And having been out of psychosis basically since 1993, I want to go back and figure out whether I really am psychotic or whether I was just like extremely advanced.
Yeah. Well, I already know the answer, but you're allowed to explore it however you want.
Well, and then the other thing with that is, can I get off the Prolixin, my medication?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
that would be something I would explore if if and when I go there too. I'm just feeling like this basically cosmic magnetic pull towards the unit for at least like a week or two, just to well, January 15th, 2026 is the 50th anniversary of my arrival in Teaneck Hackensack community. So I figure, and it's also 2 weeks before 2/2/2026, which is exactly 25 years after 2/2/2001, when within 2 weeks I predicted the end of Dale in 1980 on 2/2/2001, and within 2 weeks of that date, both Dale Evans, the most famous female Dale, and Dale Earnhardt, the race car driver, the most famous male Dale, were both dead. So I went to the hospital to deflect a Dewey death bullet that was headed straight for my brain. And I did, but a week later, after I got out of the hospital, Dale Earnhardt Jr. had a crash where he only broke his leg. So I consider I saved his life by going to the hospital.
Okay. The butterfly effect. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For sure, for sure. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I mean, shifting timelines, and according to Kat, those are all holographic projections of you anyway. So why not? Yeah, I can get on board with all of that. That seems fair enough. It's your experience of reality, you know.
And especially since 6 St. John is the center of the matrix.
Kat. Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah,
used to be center of the matrix. Now it's the control tower for the Dew realm.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, it can continue to evolve and change into whatever you need it to be. That's fine enough.
Is Dale really going to the hospital after 20 years? But this is where like my decision to go back to marijuana is. Am I staying out of the hospital just because everybody tells me I should stay out, or is because because I really don't need it, and ultimately I don't need it, but I do want like the validation and support of of professional doctors saying I'm not crazy.
Sure. That's valid. I mean, yeah, external validation does feel good, and we're allowed to tap into that frequency if that's what we choose. It's also not required at the same time. So, both. But it feels nice, and so I have no problem with that. I mean, I love being
And
validated.
to tell you the truth, Andrew, I'm very curious to see what will happen if I integrate into the new hospital system, because
Sure.
Hackensack Hospital has exploded since I was last in the hospital. It's like now like takes up 5 city blocks, and when I was there, it was like basically one building. So
Sure.
it's like I'd love to integrate into Hackensack Hospital, the place where I first built my first clone.
Yeah, that checks out. Cool. Well, speaking of integration and revisiting what would be like to be in a certain frequency, um, I'm going to do another cannabis break. I, I I tapered pretty aggressively last night, and so I think tonight we're going to do zero. And just I did it last year around this time, and it was good to experience sort of life without substance and see what it feels like. And I haven't done that since. So it feels like an interesting time to do it. And so that's part of my preparation too, is just to like reorient what Andrew is sans any sort of altering substance,
Any
and
timeline for that?
connect more deeply with that frequency and see what there is to see there too.
Any timeline for that? Like, and you're just going to
Um,
right here.
I don't feel the need to commit to a specific timeline, but it needs to be at least long enough to have some separation from it and to feel like really deeply rooted into like for sure any withdrawal symptoms and all that would have to be well beyond my field. So I'm saying at least until January 6th, and then we'll go from there. I'm gonna play it by ear after that.
Right.
But yeah, at least for the next week or two, and then we'll see how. I imagine it going longer, realistically. Maybe till like my birthday or something like that, to the 23rd.
Right.
That could be. So that would be close to a month, and so we'll see how it plays out. But I did enjoy the process last year once I got past the initial like ick, and so I know I'll enjoy it again this year and have new insights probably that will come from it.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's always how I used to detox from marijuana and stop my habit. I'd just go to the hospital, but then I'd get pot in the hospital and smoke it in the bathroom. But we won't go into that. But at one point, it was like we were smoking pot at 12 o'clock at night, 12 midnight in the day room, and the nurses would just like sort of stick their heads in, and we go, hi! And they say, okay. But now I don't think you can even smoke cigarettes on 6 St. John. Not that it matters to me anymore.
Well, that's the point. Things are shifting, right? And it's not static. It's not the same thing. It's actually a different thing than when you were there last. And so it would be a different experience if you did go back, for sure. And you're
Right.
a much different human. But yeah, I think, what else for 2026? Anything?
Well, like I say, the big test is going to be the Region Festival from February 2nd to February 23rd. And then if we get through that, that's a time of chaos for the year, for the whole world. That's Eris was the goddess of chaos and discord, so this is her festival. And then it goes into spring, and then the next big thing is Dale's birthday on the 24th of May, and that's where it's going to be the 50th anniversary of my first hospitalization at 6 St. John, when I thought I was being coronated as crown prince of the ducks, and I just got more medication. So then on July 4th, this is the big day. This is the day Rose and I recreate, meet, and basically seal our deal. And it's also the day, the 50th anniversary of Dale's decision to marry Emmy Lou, and I was also in 6 St. John for that too, because so basically everybody sabotaged my plans with Emmy Lou. Everybody thought I was crazy. So basically, it spent 50 years to get over Emmy Lou, but now I am, and Dale Empress Emmy Lou is being replaced by Velvet Empress Rose.
Checks out. It's also the 250th anniversary of America.
United States. Yep.
Yeah.
The Declaration of Independence.
That's right. Yeah. Well, we're writing a whole new fucking declaration. That's what I'm saying. Like, this
But
independence is going to expand massively.
this is what I was asking you today, Andrew. Are you ready to go through with this? Because it's going to take total commitment because we have to be hard to steal because we're going to be fighting a lot of people who believe in a universal God as opposed to an omniversal Lord.
Nah, we aren't. Do
Their
you
their
understand?
their
The
opposition is
way
meaningless.
the way is easy and without effort. What you just said is
Right.
a belief, and I don't subscribe to that belief. I'm an infinitely powerful creator. I don't have to fight fucking shit, bro.
You're right.
and and we have literally two triumvirates of genius that we're tapped into to spread out into the omniverse, and it's only going to expand from there. So like, just buckle up for the beauty of it all. That's what I would say.
Buckle
Be
up,
prepared to
Bucko.
be overwhelmed with joy and the bliss that you always speak of.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're absolutely right, but that's why I'm feeling this draw towards 6 St. John is because I figure by January 15th, that the energy of 222001 is going to be so great that I'm going to need a way to disperse my energy to people in a general way. And I can't do that solely through staying in my apartment. I gotta integrate at the hospital.
Yeah. Well, and you know, the calendar is what it is, but theoretically, this year of the snake doesn't end on December 31st, right? So,
Right.
my feeling is there's some shedding that you're still feeling like drawn towards. Like, there's still maybe a few more, something else that wants to be let go of. And so, I think it could be pointing to that. That's what I feel.
All the negativity I feel towards the hospital, that's what I have to shed.
Yeah. Well, and even like my meeting with my sister, right? I didn't talk about that, but you know, we've been since last Thanksgiving. We haven't really talked, and so as I was passing through on the way back from Austin, I offered to come. I wanted to come stay, and they weren't open. She wasn't open to that, but she was open to dinner, and that felt like an opportunity to shed this like weird discord that we had between us and begin to repair that relationship and reestablish trust. And so that was for sure shedding for me, like letting go of and an ending of a cycle too, to some extent. Like the end of a cycle is the beginning of a new one, right?
Right.
And so tapping into more of that frequency with her and my relationship, because I remember our relationship when it was tight and it was dope. I really enjoyed being close with her. So anyway, like that's the themes that have been playing out. And if any of our audience has felt some of these similar themes, please leave a comment and let us know, how you're feeling into this year and what your expectations are for next year as well. We'd love to hear that.
Well, just talking about today as a sister theme, it's something that I've basically gone through with all four of my basic sisters. And, yeah, I mean, there have been times when we've been very close, and now it's like, it's sort of like, okay, well, you're still out there, but I got my life. And that's basically how my whole family's treated me. And, I try not to take it personally, but yeah, that somebody was talking about being more than a black sheep. Basically being a black sheep who doesn't fit in with the black sheep. So that's where and I'm not trying to be a victim. I'm just saying that's basically how I feel my family's treated me through my diagnosis and everything is driven wedges between me and everybody in my family. But that's neither here nor there. The point is that
No,
family
it's part of this.
relationships.
It's part of this because we're shedding like the energy that just doesn't feel in alignment. And so it also means reorienting to the people who are core to our existence and any like weird feelings that we're holding on to in relation to them. So I think it's very much in alignment with
Right.
you know, the theme of 2025, and that is bleeding into, you know, probably a little bit into 2026. But so yeah, I think you're spot. I think it feels very aligned to me. And even like, you know, the discussions you've had about how you relate to your sisters with them and being more willing to like communicate your, you know, how you're feeling and certain boundaries, like all that feels like a really powerful shift in how you're engaging with your reality. And there's some lag time there too, right? Like your sisters, to the degree that they desire connection with you, are also like you're rebuilding like trust or something like that. And I think that, you
Yeah.
know, they can shift too, depending on how that plays out.
Well, yeah. So one of my readers today was saying, you know, you basically put yourself through this fucked up family situation so they could make you into the warrior you had to be. And that's really what I'm starting to see. You know, I mean, with everybody, you know, I mean, everybody's is very easy to be victim and say, well, you know, it does this and that and everything, but everything just contributed to making me into the person that I'm really going to be from now on, and especially now 2026. And it's just we are year zero AF, and get used to it. And if you can't adjust to the seventh dimension, then you're going to be stuck on the Fred Dale sixth dimension until you get over it. So I don't know. But my
Oh,
sisters.
well, so one thing about that is I was watching this video of a bungee jumping woman, right? And she's standing on the edge, looking down, and she's terrified, right? And then the guy who's running, you know, the operation comes over and he's like, literally everyone has this experience, right? This is actually the scariest part of the whole experience. It's going to be really fun once you jump, like, but you can't know that until you do,
Right.
right? And that's that same thing with the jump to these other dimensions. Is it feels really scary because it feels like you're giving up
You're jumping
everything
into
you have.
the void. You're jumping into the
Correct.
void.
You're jumping into uncertainty, right? And it's something, but you can't know how awesome it is until you jump. and then once you jump, you're like, oh yeah, this is really awesome. Thank God I was willing to trust myself enough to do it, right? And to me, that's, if you can tap into that feeling state of like almost like free fall, it's terrifying until you realize it's a feather bed at the bottom and it's all you. Fuck,
Right.
you know, like there's literally nothing to fear. That's all you. That's literally all your manufacturing.
The reason I'm smiling so broadly is because you made me think of a story by Peter Sage, who you know, like an amazing coach who I followed for a while. But anyway, he was talking about like his first time skydiving. He always wanted to skydive, so you know, I guess he lives wherever he lives, but he came to Florida to go to skydiving school. And the first day, after like 8 hours, he's exhausted, and his instructor says, "Come on, we got the last dust jump, you know, the last evening jump." So gets on the plane and everything, and there's one other guy with him, you know, who's also like was in the first class and everything. So you know, gets time to jump, and they both have like instructors on both sides of them, and so the first guy like gets to the edge, and he's got like both instructors on either side of him, and he says, "Are you ready to jump?" And he goes, "No," and he like jumps back, and so well, you know, this happened like 2 or 3 times, and third time they go, "Are you ready to jump?" He goes, "No." And he says, "Yes, okay." And they jump out of the plane, you know, and so Peter Sage is going, wait, they just jumped out the plane with that guy. And his instructor goes, yeah, they don't get paid unless they jump. So, but and then he got through the jump, and like the guy was like absolutely hysterically smiling, because but that's that's sort of like the bungee jump. But I just thought that was like always a very amusing story. He always used it as like a parable, but
Well, it is a parable. That's the point. It's trying to tap into a feeling state of what it is to energetically but trust yourself enough to make a decision that feels like irreversible.
absolutely very
Because
well.
part of stepping into this new version of yourself that we all believe is possible and that is desired is a like a comfort with uncertainty.
Well, it's also an acceptance of the impossible in you.
Right. Well, that's the point. It's something you haven't tapped into yet, so you don't know quite how to do it. But if, the more it's like Stephen A. He's a podcaster. He explained it like this. It's like if you need to like make the next move where you kind of still can hold on to the previous branch, you're gonna move at that speed. But if you're willing to make more of a leap, it can become more of a quantum shift, and it creates more possibility to be actually deeply because it also allows you to tap deeply into that self trust,
Right.
and that's a super powerful ingredient for tapping into that self sovereignty. Because once you believe in yourself, once you know you're capable of certain things, and then someone comes and tells you you're not, you're gonna be like, bro, I
Right.
don't not only know what I am, I fucking did it, you know?
Right.
And so then nothing can stop you because you're gonna the haters are gonna be like, whatever, bro. You do you. That's fine. But I'm gonna
Right.
do me because I'm fucking awesome and I'm leaning into that because it's true.
Well, but what you're saying is exactly what I was feeling today because I was thinking for the last 50 years, people have been testing me, and I've reached the point where I'm not putting up with it anymore. Nobody can test me. So if you want to test me, then you can go elsewhere because I've been tested enough. After 50 years, a joke that I'm God. I'm not going to try to prove that I'm God anymore because I don't believe in God that much anymore because I feel I'm the next level up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a whole other thing, isn't it? Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and it is interesting. I haven't fully processed what that means. Um, but yeah, maybe we don't need God.
I mean, but also bear in mind that Jesus is genius on the Dialena.
Well,
So,
the frequency of Christ is still very valid in my mind, right?
right, exactly.
And understanding that there is a deep connection between everything we perceive in our reality. Like that consciousness is one, and we assign a label of God to that animating force, right? But at the same time, it's us. So
Right.
so I to externalize it, I don't know. Maybe it does. It allows you to tap into that power source. I think it's a belief structure that says I'm tapped into a power source that's infinite and is fueling me, and I'm allowing it to flow out into my creation. And the label we want to assign to that is whatever, but that's what feels true to me, at least in the moment. And so I still call that God. I think it's a word people kind of link to, but it's also a word that carries a lot of charge, right? And so, it's an interesting word. It's an interesting
Well,
word. I'll say that.
my feeling about God is it's a word that's based on Western civilization chauvinism. It's just like one aspect of source that everybody else calls something else, but because Western civilization has adopted Christianity so fully that's why, I mean, at least in the Western world, when you say God, everybody thinks of Yahweh and the Old Testament, or even better, Jesus in the New Testament. But that's like so corrupted by Paul and all Revelations and all that. I really don't believe. You know, somebody said Jesus didn't say worship me; he said follow me. And what I say is, I don't follow me, swim, walk, or fly with me as a duck.
As a duck. Yeah. I like that. That feels like a Dale to me. Do you want to tap into Sid today, or what are we feeling?
Yeah, that's a very good idea. I don't, we can't forget Sid. He always summarizes everything subconsciously. So, okay, so here we are, page 56. This is the missing link by Sid Banks. Who, 30-second summary. Canadian welder, Scottish welder in Canada who had a revelation from God, and he went from an 8th grade education to lecturing MIT PhDs on reality. So this is his book, The Missing Link. He actually has like 6 books. This is his manifesto. Most of his books are novels, and they're very fun. So, this is page 55 on the chapter on thoughts. Thought, mind, and consciousness. The compound that Sid said was the source of all psychology. Your thoughts are like the artist's brush. They create a personal picture of the reality you live in. Thought, like the rudder of a ship, steers us to the safety of open waters or to the doom of rocky shores. The wise man says, I think, therefore I am. The fool says, I don't think so. People often speculate on how many components there are to thoughts. There are no components to thought. Thought is a divine power. It is an element that can never be broken down into smaller segments. It is we humans that use thought to produce such things as our feelings, moods, and our overall perceptions of life. Thought can be used in an infinite number of ways. 2 pages that summarize.
That infinity, right? That's creativity. That's literally what we're talking about, is tapping in to the infinitely powerful creators that we are. And yeah, thoughts are like the awareness we bring to our thoughts, and the thoughts that we invite in that ripple out and create our reality are definitely powerful. No question in my mind.
Well, I mean, we said you always have to consider it in terms of the trinity of mind, consciousness, and thought. So, basically, consciousness to me is like basic source. That's what Sid would call the impersonal consciousness or mind. And then there's mind, which is individual and general. And then there's thought, but all thought is directed by mind from the consciousness. That's how I feel, at least ideally. So that's how I feel. And thought is like the thing that's common to everybody, whereas a lot of people aren't in the mind or consciousness. They just haven't arrived there yet.
Sure. Yeah. Yet being the key word.
But shall I try one more poem to close out? Well, we'll close out our predictions for 2026 with this. A fool lonely in love, because I still am. You short circuit my brain with craving to be in your presence. My vaunted intellect cannot control. As great hormones of early spring kick in, and I sit fixated by the silent telephone, waiting for the ring of your velour voice, lost in long moments of amorous oblivion, while I read the Bible to increase faith. And Lord, who directed you into my reality, formerly resigned to indifferent solitude, until special day in pub you materialized, to create in my sad existence new meaning, even as you melted my defenses with torches of kindness, concern, and interest, by which you illuminated my darkness. as I recited to you the poems inspired by the purity of your central beauty, which thunderstruck me with a longing I had not experienced for score of years. So I fell into an adolescent infatuation that continues to grow into deep infatuation, transforming my aloneness into a sentiment of wholeness I never thought I could feel. I didn't even mention the apocalypse.
Bro, I was waiting for it, and it's just like, oh, it felt really nice. Beautiful. Yeah, I think that love story is for sure part of 2026. I'm feeling that energy coming into my field for sure. And so cuz it's been like really I'm stepping into that feeling state of what it is to be that guy. And, it's a little unfamiliar, but I'm becoming that more and more each day. And so I like that's a great way to wrap up this show.
Okay, and just remember, people, there will not be omniversal obliteration in 2026, no matter how crazy Trump and everybody seems, because Do Andrew conspiracy is running the world.
For sure, bro. For sure. We love
And
you guys.
Happy New Year's, Dale, and Andrew, is ever a pleasure, and thanks a lot, and thank me, thank you, and thank everybody.
Indeed.